Hey you guys, and welcome back to a new episode of Nouveau Geek. We are here with the artist Tom Fleming. Yay. He is he's in town because we've got a MagicCon this weekend, and so he's come to showcase his art and what he does, and so we got a special privilege to sit down and talk with him. So thank you, Tom, for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
Great to be here.
So we kind of want to know how you got started. Did you begin art when you were like in high school, like you took an art class, or did you start when you were like really little, you just like came into the world like holding a paintbrush?
From the womb.
Yeah.
It actually all started with jealousy. And that was my older brother. He was about 3 years older than me, and he would always doodle and draw cartoons and stuff out of like the Peanuts comics and things like that, and then went into Marvel comics and stuff. And I always was envious of how well he drew.
Yeah.
And I looked at that and I was like, wow, if I could be an artist, that means I don't have to work for a living. So
there you go.
Yeah, and I was very wrong about that.
Oh yeah.
So you started when you were young, and we know that you decided to go to college and pursue art. And not everybody goes to college to pursue art.
Right.
You don't have to. So can you kind of talk about like the pros and cons to going to college for art as opposed to not going to college?
Yeah, actually there's a lot of pros and cons to both. One, you have to be very selective in what college you attend. I've actually had friends that went, if you want to pursue art as a career, you have to seriously consider, what path you're going to go down. Some people kind of organically find their path, but generally it's a field like anything that you really need to be trained in. So if you want to do it commercially and work as an illustrator or graphic designer, there's a lot of prerequisites that you have to learn before you go out into the real world.
Okay, yeah.
Whereas, there's a lot of very talented artists that are self-taught, and there's also philosophies that, N.C. Wyatt, the great illustrator, once said that, no great artist ever graduated from college.
Okay. You kind of made the comment about how if you're an artist, you can be in business for yourself. And doing that, both as an artist and being in your own business, there are a ton of sacrifices. Have you experienced that, where you have to I'm gonna give this up because I want to focus on my.
So what is your biggest sacrifice that you have had as an artist?
Working as a freelance artist.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so working as a freelance artist, a huge sacrifice is I'm a very social person, and I really it's very difficult day after day to work in your studio solo with no interaction from other people, no other creative feedback. When I was, I did work 9 to 5 in a cubicle, as an artist also. And the benefit of that is that you are surrounded by other creative people, and, there are times where you have creative blocks, things like that, and you could throw ideas at other people, bounce bounce things back and forth, where, when you're home, you get out of bed, you eat breakfast, and you go to the drawing table, and then you have to kind of jumpstart your creative juices.
Yeah.
What is your favorite piece of art that you enjoy doing the most? Characters, or organic, that kind of a thing. If you had to do it.
That's a tough one, because it's kind of like you ask me that question on a different day, it's going to be a different answer.
Okay.
My dream was to do comics, Marvel comics. I wanted to be a Marvel comic artist. I might want to, go into the fantasy gaming kind of thing, and and do that. So it's it just changes. And I'm fortunate enough where my career has kind of gone where I've kind of dabbled in all these things.
When we were looking at your work, it's really awesome because you've got the fantasy stuff that we know. Some of that went into gaming, and then there's some of the comic stuff, and then there's art that is, Andrew was telling me, she was it looks like pictures. They're wildlife.
The wildlife
and
series,
so amazing.
How did that come about?
Well, okay, the wildlife was actually, this company approached me and asked me if I could do a series of wildlife paintings that were going to be used for outdoor thermometers.
Okay.
And And it was really funny because up until then I was doing, the fantasy and comics and things like that. And when I got that assignment, I actually was sitting down with my grandmother, and I told her, she was always, asking me what I was working on, this, that, and she never really got into any of it and stuff.
Right.
But when I told her I was doing, a series of paintings with butterflies, and her response was, "Oh my God, you're finally drawing something normal."
Oh, God.
So yeah.
So you do different, art styles. You can do that, and you've also done a lot of different work because you've done storyboards, you've done comics, you've done. You've done your original pieces. How has that been to kind of go from one thing to the other? What has been the hardest part about that?
Actually, there is no hard part
There
about
is no
that.
hard
It
part.
was
There you
like,
go. There we go. That's great.
And that's one of the warnings that you kind of give younger artists. So so actually, when you're taught to paint and draw as a foundation,
Right.
and not a specific genre, it allows you to just kind of branch out and take on assignments. And as a freelancer, it is crucial that you have the ability to not say no.
Yeah.
Right.
And I very rarely ever said no to a assignment when it came in. So what happened was it kind of morphs from one genre to another, and which allowed me to kind of satisfy all these different aspects of my interests. And I never planned on actually working in movies, but I moved to Wilmington, North Carolina,
Yeah.
where Screen Gem
Right.
Studios is right
Yep.
down the street.
Yep.
And a friend of mine one day was walking by the director's office and overheard that the movie was looking for an artist that's worked for Marvel Comics.
Wow.
And
There you go.
There we go.
and it was a Jodie Foster movie, and she just peeked her head in. She was the art coordinator, and she just said, "Can you give me 10 minutes?" And I literally lived a half a mile from the studios.
Yeah.
And she called me up and she's like, "Get over here right now, get your portfolio together."
Wow.
And I was like, "Do I have time for a shower?" And she's like, "No."
No.
She's like, "Get in here. They're looking for someone right now. I just heard them say they're calling New York."
Yeah.
And and I got in there, I brought, and I actually, one thing led to another,
Yeah.
and they, by the end of the interview, they said, "When can you start?"
Nice.
So, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and the movie industry is extremely cliquey.
Yes.
So until you get that foot in the door,
Like,
it's
you don't-
it's by yourself. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
So what do you have
So what's
for
the
your
new-
future?
yeah, what's
what
the-
is your, because you've been evolving, correct? Like you've said, you've evolved from comic drawing to different
Yep.
Yeah.
genres of things. What's new for you?
Well, one of the things doing this for long enough, you kind of get to the point where you see how hard you've worked for other people,
Right.
and you make a decision to work for yourself, and
Yeah.
you're like, working for all these big companies, they own everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wanted to work smarter, not harder.
Understandable.
And so I've, me and a friend of mine that I've known, since kindergarten, he's the business side of things, I'm the creative side of things, and we're launching a company called Chakra Art and Design,
Nice.
which is, we're going to launch a whole series of yoga mats, apparel, leggings, things like that, and we're going to kind of, combine art with the kind of wellness, holistic market.
Nice. Yeah, no, we really could just sit here and talk to you all day.
Right.
You are a fountain of knowledge and just really an interesting person. So again, we
Right.
thank you so much for being willing to hang
It was
out with
really
us
nice,
for Nouveau Geek. We're sad that we're not on the orange couch, but maybe next time you're in town, we could have you come and hang out on an orange couch.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And check us out on Facebook. We will make sure to link all of Tom's information down below as well, so you can
Right.
check out all of Tom's stuff. If you've never seen it, your minds will be
Yeah,
blown.
it's
Fact of
amazing.
life.
And
Yeah. So thank you.
make sure to look for Chakra.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
guys. Yeah, this was fun.
Okay. And
Thanks.
Nouveau Geek done.
Nouveau Geek
Bye.
out. Bye. Okay.
Okay.
I was gonna say, yep.
We're crazy.
Peek our head
so.
through.
Hey, by the way, remember that thing that I was going to tell you?
Nope.
Or whatever?
Nope.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Right.
Yeah. He's gonna be like, can you get rid of them?